Hello guys, and welcome back to another update for Teaser Breakdown. So yesterday we were treated to another update 4 video which mentioned that gases are now coming to Satisfactory, and there was some real key pieces of information that I picked out which I think are super important that we talk about. So for a while, gases have been suspected to be coming to the game thanks to the gas mounds and the gas plants, but at least for the time being, we're not going to be placing buildings on top of them. Instead, we're receiving new resource nodes, and these are going to be wellsprings. Now, Jace also went on to mention that there will be 3 types of spring available for Update 4. Water, oil, and for now, nitrogen gas. But Jace also mentioned we will be having more gases later on in-game. Now, in order to harvest these wellsprings, we will need to make use of 2 new buildings. A resource well extractor, which will be placed on one of the many springs in the area, which rise up once you placed the resource well pressurizer on the main node, so to speak. Something that I do want to mention though is this bit of key art here. Now, I could be totally off here, but I'm very much hoping that this piece of concept art here is both for the resource well extractor and possibly a second type of gas extractor that we're going to plonk on top of the gas rocks or the gas plants later on. Again, this is just a guess, but the dome extractor gave me that little idea. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Also, if we look at the well pressurizer, it looks like it has a liquid intake. Now, I presume it takes on water that is used to generate steam pressure to push the resources up through the spring, or perhaps it requires a later tier liquid to be used, a bit like the liquids we use currently in fracking, allowing to push these resources and gases up through the springs. These new gases will also be implemented similar to liquids and just require the normal pipes for transportation, although they may not need to use headlift or pumps in order to transport it. Now, I am up for this. I think it would be really cool, but I'd love to also see the need for a compressor station for gases, and also I'd love to see those old gasometers that you see in London that would gradually rise higher and lower depending on how concentrated the gas was in the container. Yes, I know we don't actually need them because we have pressurized pipes now, but I think it would still look super cool in game. I also love that Jace mentioned that this will be more concentrated in resource production versus the traditional extraction methods of water and oil, suggesting that this isn't going to replace the oil patches that we currently have in game, and that's great to know because late game I have a feeling we're going to be needing a lot more oil to play around with in our factories, especially if we're producing rocket fuel. Moving on, Jace mentioned that nitrogen gas would be used in the blender to create fused modular frames, and that we will also have a cooling system part, which interestingly enough looks like it will be needing heat sinks and what I presume is packaged nitrogen gas or possibly packaged liquid nitrogen to produce. I should mention that it looks like a building, however Jace did say it was a part.
There'll be a cooling system which is going to be a new part,
suggesting that it's used in the manufacturing process rather than part of the process. I wonder what we'll be needing these for, and obviously with nitrogen gas we'll also be able to produce nitric acid, presumably in the blender along with water and empty canisters. And notably, although I think most people may have missed this as it was just said off the cuff, he mentioned that nitric acid would be used in some new refinement and fuel production processes. Now, by refinement, this could be the pure recipes. We already use a mix of nitric acid and hydrochloric acid in order to separate and refine gold, similar to how we use mercury for separating the alloys in gold as well. So my guess would be to say that this is going to be replacing the alternate pure recipes. That being said, it could be a totally different recipe altogether. And as for the fuel production, I may be mistaken, but I believe nitric acid is used in rocket fuel, so we may need it for those thermal propulsion rockets that we saw earlier. Let's face it, it's probably that, or nitrous oxide for our explorers, or tractors. And of course, we'll no doubt be using nitric acid for batteries too. Wow, so that was a surprising amount that we've managed to pick apart from in this 3.5 minute video. Obviously, if you did enjoy the breakdown, then do drop a thumbs up and let me know whether you're excited for this or dreading the idea of more complexity in game. Obviously, we will be covering these new resources in game with guides, so if you do like my stuff, be sure to subscribe. And special thanks goes to all of our supporters, most notably our solo clips patrons, the Calamity, Bo Papa and Cerebral Tag, as well as our Lunars, Matt Lippard, Chris McCabe and Lord of July, as well as our Blood Moon of the Day, Jimmy Rogers. Anyway guys, until next time, as always, ciao for now.